Leading by example, role models shaping a healthier, balanced future in energy. And we have very experienced and generous panelists who will be introduced in the course of today's event. So I'd go to the next slide, please. Thank you. This is the agenda we'd want to go with today. We'll take the national prayer. We'll have safety moment and sustainability moment. We would be taking the welcome address from our section chair. Then I'll introduce the moderator, who would in turn introduce the panelists. We'll hand over to a member of the D&I committee who will run the game. And after that, we would commence the panel session where we'll spend most of our evening, or the time allocated definitely for this evening. Then the moderator will take the Q&A and we take photographs and do membership drive. Thank you. This is the agenda. Please, the next slide. Thank you. Simeon yet.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. Oh,
Thank you very much for that rendition. We would hand over to Patrick, who would take us through the safety moment and then continue with the sustainability. Patrick, please, the next slide.
Good evening. I'm in a meeting, please. Yeah, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Patrick. We can hear you.
Yes, so my name is Patrick Ezenachi. I'm glad to have you all on the call. So quickly, we are going to the safety moment. And you know, safety is our best business plan. So please mute your mic when not speaking. These are rules and regulations to ensure a smooth meeting. Raise up your hands to speak and use the chat box as often as possible. Ensure you can still hear the fire alarm with your headsets and be alert and aware of your environment. Always stay safe because safety is our best business plan. Next slide, please. So quickly, we're going to go to the sustainability moment. And before I proceed, if you are on this call and you are driving, please leverage on the 9 life-saving action. That's driving. So you will be a zero hero, zero incidents. And if you conceive this, you believe it and you achieve it. Okay, for our sustainability initiative, we're already familiar with the 17 Sustainable Development Goal. So most importantly, we're going to just talk about the 7th SDG goal, which is all about harnessing clean energy and affordable energy. So we are encouraging each and every one of us on and off the job, kindly make efforts to drive SDG 7, promotes the use of renewable energy, okay? And most importantly, as energy champions, if you are on the job, energy isolation is what you should always look out for as a 9 life-saving action. So for a balanced energy planet, please be a sustainability champion. For safety, sustainability, and also quality is our best execution strategy. So The most important SDG right now is also the SDG 13, which is all about climate action, okay? We are working towards achieving a net zero goal. As simple as reusing your plastic waste. It's a sustainable initiative which we are encouraging everybody on the call to think about, not just on the job, but also off the job, so that at the end of the day, we all will achieve net zero goal for a balanced energy planet. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick. We really appreciate the presentation and this thought-provoking call to action. So on that, we will proceed to the welcome address, which would be delivered by the section chair. This is SP section 103. So our chair is Sir Abie I. Pedro. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say first a very big thank you to you all for coming here, and especially to the Diversity and Inclusion Committee for thinking it that also the male folk should be considered. I think it's the first we are really diversifying to include the men, and we are planned to do it on the International Men's Day. A lot of us don't even know that Men's Day exists. So first and foremost, thank you for organizing it and bringing it to our fore. And then I'm honored to be talking on this theme, which you have given to us, the role models shaping a healthier, balanced future in the energy world. This topic resonates deeply with the core values of our organization and the broader energy sector. As leaders in the energy industry, we have a responsibility to set positive examples. Our actions, both within and outside the workplace, have a profound impact on those around us. We can inspire and motivate others by demonstrating integrity, compassion, and commitment to excellence. So this event, I know, is delving into the importance of positive role models in promoting healthy masculinity and challenging the harmful stereotypes, the impact of leadership styles on workplace culture and employee well-being, the role of mentorship and sponsorship in supporting the development of future leaders, which SP is always promoting, and then strategies for achieving a better work-life balance and prioritizing mental health. I believe by engaging in this discourse, we can gain valuable insight and practical tools to become more effective role models and create a more inclusive and supportive network. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the panelists who have generously agreed to share their expertise and experience with us today. Your insights will undoubtedly enrich our understanding of the topic and inspire us to act. I will encourage all of you to actively participate in today's event. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage in open and honest dialogue. Together, we can create a lasting impact and shape a healthier, more balanced future for ourselves and generations to come. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive and insightful event.
Thank you very much, Section Chair, for that rousing welcome remarks. So we want to also acknowledge the presence of our immediate past Section Chair, Madam Ngozi Okonkwo. Thank you for being with us. We want to thank other senior members, Stella and Engineer Wanodi. We appreciate that you're able to join us. We're continuing on the legacy that has been built by past workers in the section. Thank you. And I also want to say thank you again to the panelists for taking our time to be here. We can't do this without your commitment to being here and actually showing up on time. Thank you very much. I would want to introduce the moderator now, who will take us through this panel session. So the moderator is Ejiro Obodu. Ejiro Obodu Desmond, based in Port Harcourt, currently is a wells intervention engineer and an asset interface at Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC. With a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from the University of Ibadan, where he graduated with first-class honors, Ejiro has over a decade of experience in the oil and gas industry. His expertise spans across drilling, completion, well intervention, and well integrity management. We focus on deep water and high pressure land drilling operations. Ejiro holds advanced certifications in well control for drilling and completions, including well intervention CWI, with robust experience as a drilling/CWI supervisor across deep water rigs and lightweight intervention vessels. He has demonstrated proficiency in well design, intervention programs, and cost estimation, with a track record of managing contracts for drilling bits, expandable sand screens, and multiple slickline services. Throughout his career, he has contributed to the efficient delivery of offshore well operations, notably in challenging environments like the Gulf of Guinea. Recognized for his commitment to safety and regulatory compliance, Ejiro is also skilled in stakeholder engagement and regulatory governance. His professional accolades include awards in technical writing and public service, highlighting his dedication to both industry advancement and community involvement. I introduce to you Ejiro Obodu. Thank you for being here, Ejiro. And I'll leave you to introduce the moderators, the panel session speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Judith. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for all being here today, and welcome to today's celebration of our International Men's Day, a day that affords us the opportunity to extend our fraternal greetings to all men in our society and to remind us all that we are never alone. Your strength, your courage, your kindness is greatly appreciated. And as men, we understand the challenges and daily struggles faced by men in our current day reality. And today we hope to, through this session, proffer some ideas and solutions for creating better men for the greater and common good of the society. And these days, more than ever, men suffer detachment and loneliness. And even in the healthiest of societies, men of all backgrounds are less likely than women to live healthy lives. They die younger, experience more disease, and have less access to support services. And the greatest deception men suffer is from their own opinions, as men must know their limitations and clearly need to focus on overcoming these challenges, as it's at the borders of pain and suffering that men are separated from boys. And today we're here to talk about positive masculinity and positive role models for the society. So we're all going to be going through this topic together, and I have a very rich panel with us today who's going to do ample justice into this topic. So I'm going to be introducing the speakers on our panel one after the other. I would start with Council's Chair, Amina Mohammed Dan Madami. Please pardon me for any inflection on the name. She's a chemical engineer with the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, with over 2 decades of cognate experience in banking and engineering, spanning across engineering designs, technical reviews, policy formulation, advocacy, programs implementation, project management, monitoring, regulation, and evaluation. She started her career as a banker, having worked in various sections, particularly risk analysis, moved to join DPR, the then regulated arm of the Nigerian petroleum sector. She is the first female council chair of the Society of Petroleum Engineers Nigerian Council, and she's also a member of the Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers, the Nigerian Society of Engineers, the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, and also the National Association for Energy Economics. She's particularly passionate about evidence-based regulations. She loves solving puzzles and is actively involved in a whole lot of charitable works. She's also a member of the Victims for Violence Foundation in Abuja, and she's happily married with children. Please can we welcome Engineer Amina. All right, our next speaker is a man who's well known to us all, Engineer Joseph Modi. Started his career as a project engineer for an oil servicing firm before joining Shell SPDC in 2001 as a trainee engineer. He progressed through various roles, including the drilling the limit optimization engineer. He was SAP team lead, drilling engineer, contributing to a whole lot of high value projects, such as the Soko high rate gas wells. He later took an assignment with the Brunei Shell BSP, where he served in well technology. He was also hands-on on the field as a drilling supervisor and also as the rig superintendent roles, working on various projects, including casing well drilling and also wired drill pipe technology. As well operations manager at SPDC, Engineer Joseph Modi, he led a startup team to start up 7 rig units from 2017 to 2020, including the significant EAFOD project and the April 5 exploration well. Currently, he is the General Manager Well Operations for Shell in Nigeria, and he's a part of the country leadership team and has led the team to deliver various oil and gas and also P&A projects, despite this challenging security and regulatory environments we experience. Engineer Joseph Modi holds degrees from the University of Benin and Robert Gordon University, and is very passionate about health, safety and environment, community development, and mentoring young engineers. He's recognized by Curren, FNSE, and SPE, and is a Paul Harris Fellow. In his personal life, Engineer Joseph Modi enjoys reading, football, and golf, and is happily married with 3 children. Please let's all kindly welcome Engineer Joseph Modi. And last but not the least is Dr. Intia Nsekak Abasi. He's a seasoned medical practitioner with over 20 years of experience. His extensive career is marked by a deep commitment to improving occupational health practices, for which he had very much significant positive outcomes. And beyond his professional achievements, he's an engaging public speaker. Dr. Intia is an active member of the Toastmasters International, where he hones his communication and leadership skills. He is the current president of the Rotary Club of Port Harcourt Spring Gardens, underpinning his dedication to personal growth and community service and philanthropy. Dr. Intia is also an avid golfer, volleyballer, football enthusiast, and Arsenal Football Club supporter, chairperson, National Working Committee, and Veteran Section. Quite an avid supporter. He enjoys traveling, finds joy in exploring new cultures and experiences, and when he's not working or traveling, he treasures spending quality time with his children. His well-rounded personality, commitment to serve, and love for adventure indeed makes him a respected figure both in his professional field and in the broader community. Please let's all welcome Dr. Intia Nsikak Bassey. So I don't know. Today we have quite a topic in front of us, and I hope I'm very, very much convinced my panelists today will do us justice to it. So we'll dive straight into it, leading by example. So I think the first place we should start is to define our examples and breaking down the stereotypes. Masculinity is a social construction of expectations of what it involves as being a man and refers to the roles and behaviors and attributes that are considered appropriate. So we want to attempt now to go into what are harmful stereotypes about masculinity, such as those that discourage men from expressing their vulnerability or seeking help. So if we could bring to fore some of these harmful stereotypes of men that we have carried along. So I would start with Dr. Amina. Hello, can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, madam.
But I didn't get the question. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the question is about stereotypes.
Okay.
Harmful stereotypes about what masculinity involves.
Okay.
We commonly hear the phrase, be a man, or take it up like a man. So what does it really mean to be a man in our modern world today? And where is the lines for positive and harmful stereotypes when it comes to masculinity? From your experience, if you could take a shot.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Good evening. And it's an honor to join today as a panelist and for this very important webinar to celebrate International Men's Day under the theme Leading by Example, Role Model, Shaping a Healthier, Balanced Future in the Energy. I mean, this is very timely and relevant, not only for the energy sector, but for society at large. So, and thank you, Port Harcourt section, for organizing this. I mean, it's a very insightful session, and I think it should, it will make us think and do better to encourage diversity and inclusion moving forward. So regarding stereotyping, yes, it's a very, that's how we see it, that men should be tough, they should have the tough exterior and all of them. So I'll tell you something. The first time I saw my dad crying when he lost his mom, I mean, I was shocked. I was like, but men are not supposed to cry now, you know? So, but then at the same time, it also made him more human in my eyes, you know? And I think it also encouraged our relationship after that moving forward, because I could relate. You know, I cry when things go wrong and all. So I could, okay, so he's human after all, you know. So I think that making men feel they shouldn't cry or they shouldn't express, you know. But having read some books, I think it's the mindset also of men. Like there's a great book and I recognize it and I recommend it for everyone. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. You know, it's one great book. I mean, it was written like 40 years ago or something, if I'm not mistaken, but it's still very relevant today. You know, it describes the difference between how men see things and how women see things. But on the whole, we're all human beings. And that's what each of us have, maybe different ways that we see things, but we're all human beings. And the traditional idea of masculinity now that focuses on toughness, stoicism, dominance has got to change because times have changed. They are outdated concepts. You know, the men today should like have things like empathy. They should be vulnerable and they should collaborate. You know, be a bit like women from Venus. Talk. You know, there's not, but a lot of men just bottle things up. They don't talk about things, and because they feel that that's what makes them macho. But it's not necessarily so. Maybe it's the how you talk, not the talking at all. I don't know if I've answered the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amina. Indeed, you have given us some
Yeah.
insights into that. Empathy, collaboration, more gender inclusiveness. All right, so I will go now to Dr. Intia. Doctor, how do you think, from your experience, how can we redefine this traditional masculinity to be more inclusive and supportive? Hello, Dr. Intia. You're muted if you're speaking.
I mean, hello, hi. Sorry, Ejiwo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, how can we redefine masculinity to be more inclusive and supportive?
So I think the first thing we need to do is, first of all, stop defining it in those terms as Dr. Amina referred to 50, 60 years ago. You're born, your first role model probably is your father. And back in their day, you know, there's a way that there was no stoic, you know, straight boned. You never, like I said, never see your father cry, never see him even show any ounce of pain, vulnerability, or any bit of weakness. So strength was defined in machismo. There's nothing more false than that, particularly in today's world. So today, you have to be very clear that you define your own sense of masculinity. And frankly, I'll take away the word, your own sense of who you are. And it has to be around what outcomes you truly seek. Father is your first role model, but none of us parents the way our parents parented. So we've grown with what they've given us, you know, discipline, the rod, if you like, you know, spanking and all of that. And we've come to say, hey, maybe that doesn't work. So benefits of that one, but we define parenting in our own generation, in our own time. And we are communicating more with our children, being friends more, accept a bit more talk back from them, just to make sure we connect with them more. That's an example of how you redefine what a father should be, for example. It's in the same vein that you redefine who a man should be, if you like. And what does that even really mean? I said earlier today when I was speaking to some of my colleagues, you know, in the Wells function about that. To be a man truly today, you must be able to cry and cry in different small pockets. So safe pockets. Because if you don't touch base with that self, you're going to drive yourself innately to ruin. So be okay to say, well, you know what, that's what people used to do, but that's not for me, and it's okay. And the critical point that I made the same point about communicate, whether with spouse, with children, with family, with friends. Just say, hey, this is who I am, and be unapologetic. As long as you're saying, I'm not being unfair to anyone, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm not abusing anyone, be unapologetically you. And whether anybody wants to assign a gender role to that, that's their business. And that's what I consider a real man, the true you, the true self, vulnerable in every regard, but absolutely communicative. And the strength is in touching base with that vulnerability and bouncing back from it and achieving that which you consider your aspired self.
Thank you, Dr. Intia. Thank you very much. Quite very insightful. Engineer Joe Muddy, I don't know if you also have anything on that same line on redefining our masculinities in the view of our current times?
Yeah, I think mine is a little bit nuanced. So the world is moving on, societal expectation is changing, but actually the core of a human being has not changed. So while we try as much as possible to redefine what masculinity means, while we try as much as possible to ensure that society, that the modern man keeps pace with society, we also have to realize that there's some fundamental facts that remains true. And what we're talking about is how do we, unquote, smoothing off the rough edges. Every society expects certain gender to perform in certain ways. And no matter how we look at it, there are still societal expectation of the man, there's still societal expectation of the woman. So the question is, how do we draw a balance? And that is the key. And being able to draw a balance, being able to provide for the family, see it as your responsibility without negating the ability of your spouse to support, your ability to protect your family. I can't imagine any man, no matter how modern he is, who hears a knock or an intruder coming to his house at night, runs under the bed and expects the wife to go and check who it is at the door. No matter how feminist you are, no matter how masculine you are, we know that there are certain expectations. But the question is, how do you stop that from being toxic? How do you stop that from stopping you from being a human being? Because whether we like it or not, we still have our specific roles to play as human beings or as members of a socialized society. And drawing that line is what is important. In every home, every child expects different things from their father compared to what they expect from the mother. So in principle, it would be difficult and society will be turned upside down if the man does not provide that guidance that the kids need, that direction that the kids need, that strength that the kids need. That does not mean he does not exhibit vulnerability, but the kid expects a family. The kid expects their father to show some measure of stability. And that is what men bring in society. That is what men bring in home. That does not negate the fact that our spouses also bring stability as well. So partnering with your spouse to complement each other personally is the key to the discourse of today. I'm not trying to go it alone. I'm not trying to have all the answers. Because no matter how smart you are, no matter how strong you are as a man, you don't have all the intelligence in the world. And that is also where we have to be careful about what masculinity means. In our traditional African society, the man has all the answers because previously our spouses were not as educated as they are today. But in the modern world, some of our spouses are more educated than us. Some of them know more than we do. So there are certain areas where we have to defer to the person with the superior capacity and the person with the superior knowledge. You cannot die in silence. If your spouse has the answer and you don't want to get the answer from her or from him because you don't want to be a feminist or you want to be a masculine or stoic man. No, that is not the intent. The intent is, as members of society, as members of the same household, we should support and complement each other. There is no boundaries to how much we should try to get from our spouses. From our kids, some of our kids are smarter than us. Some of our kids know how to do certain things more than we are. Will you try to prepare a PowerPoint slide when you have a son who is probably in second year or first year in university and you say you are the man, I can do that? No way. That child knows how to do animations more than you can ever think of, right? So it's actually about being vulnerable to ask for help when you know that your spouse or your kids have knowledge, and also to be able to show leadership when it's expected of you. No matter what we say, everybody in a household expects the man to show some measure of leadership, even though the spouse is the person pushing him forward, but he should be able to show up rightly, because that is the society we live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Joseph. Really great insights there. But a follow-up there would then be, men are constantly in the position to give, men are constantly in the need to protect. So in trying to model balance for men today, what advice would you give about setting boundaries? As a man, learning to say no, setting boundaries that support well-being. And I don't know if maybe from experience, is there a time you've had to set a boundary and say, okay, at this point, this is a no-go for me? having to not assume the traditional roles, sometimes, like you said, deferring. But in what ways have you been able to put some boundaries in place that has really made a difference for you?
I think personally, I know my wife has, my wife has certain strengths that I have. She's a better manager of persons. She's a better reader of persons and more mechanistic. So I always defer to her when it comes to understanding relationships. And in terms of setting boundaries, there are certain things we do that we don't really give a thought to. I give a personal example of where I had to not really set boundaries, but understanding my own limitations. For some of the colleagues who know me a little bit more, know that in the early 2000s, I was out of the country, and on coming back, we did all this Canadian stuff, right? The Canadian immigration, we landed in Canada, and my wife said, I'm not coming here alone. If we're going to come, all of us are going to come together. As the man of the house, unquote, that I thought I was, I could have said, no way, you're going to go. But I just felt, thank God, because I never really knew what I was doing, right? I was just doing it because everyone else was doing it. Then my wife said, sorry, I had to defer to her, because I knew that I have not really given it a thought. And I know that she reads social context. She thinks about what all these things are about. So in the quest to pursue career, in the quest to move on, sometimes you don't have all the answers, right? So I defer to her for things like this, because I know she understands that more than I do. I may be a better well engineer, but I know that she's a better social scientist than I am. She understands social settings, I don't. So it's not really about, okay, me setting boundaries, but the boundaries I said is knowing what I know, the boundaries that I don't know, and defer to my spouse to support and help me, make certain decisions in the home. I think that would be a reverse way of answering the question.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That was quite some insightful, and we leverage on our strengths as they do appear. Yeah. So Dr. Intia, that would take us up to you. We've talked about men and the need for them to feel in charge. And we know naturally men dominate positions of political, economic, and social power. But of course, this does not mean that all men are or feel powerful. Some men may feel relatively powerless in terms of their political influence, their wealth, or their social status. And that brings us to promoting mental health. How do we what are some ways we can foster a culture where we can where men can be comfortable discussing mental health for those of them in not so good a place? Because a man being in not so much a good place, it's a dark space. So how do we get them out from that dark space and being able to create that culture where they are comfortable discussing these feelings?
Yeah, so I'm going to come from a standpoint, just to piggybacking from what Joe has just sort of spoken about. So we know what already is. We are, everything we grow up with, everything we in our society puts some innate drive in us, a desire. There are some models of success that societally, even subconsciously we already carry. You have to be able to do that. You're looking at over the fence to the next compound and say, well, if he can do that, why can't I do that? We measure our accomplishments by what the next person perhaps has done, or the average or top quartile people in our own sort of society and climate and all of that. And sometimes that's where the problem begins to arise from. So we drive ourselves by standards that are set without our any necessary deep sort of engagement with ourselves, our capacity, and our needs, actually. So I always say that if you talk about success means a certain bank balance, for example. How much money is ever enough? And as anyone who really has handled money would know, it's usually not about how many zeros, but sometimes what you then deploy that money to do for you, or what it means for you. After a particular low threshold where your needs are covered, the rest of it, the psychology, my people say, is younger. So you need to be very clear and almost define yourself very clearly to as true to self as possible. The second one is that don't set your race by the next Joe. It might be your peer, it might be your colleague, it might be your, someone who's had the same opportunity as you. It doesn't mean you're the same. It doesn't mean that your outcomes must exactly be the same. Same thing with things about, don't just roll with the Joneses. Must a child attend that highbrow school because your neighbor or your peer attends it? It must be whether does that school provide the right kind of education for my children, rather than it must be that school because that's the name, recognition that school has, and the fees are 3 times what a better school may be, who's had better curriculum, better attention, better focus on your child. The question is that must I drive the car that I've heard and seen X and Y and Z drive? So those things are drivers that we must be able to get away from and ask myself, what gives me joy? What really defines me? And connect with your spouse, your family, your peers, your friends, and all that. Saying what really defines, accomplishment for me. I'm a very big believer in Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I believe that very quickly once you attain the needs, you can cover your needs and some basic ones. You must first go forward and be transcendent. And until you reach that level, frankly, I say go from growth mindset to a purpose mindset, where you are living for society, doing things that make a difference for others. That's where, for me, wealth truly lies. Not with your bank balance, but with actually the things you actually give, time, talent, those kind of things that help your society. So if you redefine what success means for you, you find that you don't get into that rat race, because it's a rat race. And it's a rat race that doesn't really make sense, to be honest, when you pare it down. Because as everyone and if you ask people who've chased the rat race, when you attain a certain level, it's immediately after attaining it, after the high of attainment, it's empty. Because you're on to the next level of attainment, chasing the next person in front. And at the end of the day, when you get old enough and wise enough, you realize that it's just been a comedy. There's been nothing in this race. There's nothing you've really, and all of that. All you've done is, hey, yeah, you say, that guy, he has money, he has that. Rubbish means nothing in the end. Because particularly, you may not even have spent time with your family. You may not even know your spouse truly. You may not have supported your society properly. You may not have done the basic things that make life worth living. And that's my point about redefining what life and life's aspirational success means for you in your own context and chasing it that way. And it's usually more in the principles than in the material. So that's how I would say get away from that rat race, get away from that thing and all of that, and say all that. We need to pay our bills, handle our family, but most importantly, we need to make sure we understand what actual attainment means for us in our own context, different context. And it's probably different for as many people as are attempting that journey. And that's fine. So know your own truth and live your own truth, if you will. Back to you.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Ntia. But I'll just take a follow-up on that. The rat race, like you say, creates both anxiety and depression. So what strategies do you recommend for managing this anxiety and depression amongst men today?
I've done a lot around this sort of subject, if you like, around space. And for me, I always say that anxiety is the fear when you look forward, about not being able to attain something. Depression usually is the pressure and the low you have from something having happened to you already, if you like, when you look backwards. So in all of that, you ask yourself, how do I tackle my anxiety? So anxiety is always underpinned by fear. But very often when I ask, I say, fear of what? And most people haven't defined what they are afraid of. Just afraid. They say, my guy is coming to town. There's something that, you are afraid without having any substance. So that fear, you're already anxious. And remember, it's a chemical overload from neurotransmitters. So the point is that once you face the first sign of what I call micro anxiety, the first signs of this thing makes me uncomfortable, this thing makes me panic, makes my heart skip a beat, ask yourself, what is the real problem here? What are you afraid of? Oga says, come to my office, you're automatically panicking. You don't even know why he's calling you. My mom wants to give you a gift. So you must remove those micro anxieties by challenging them and asking yourself, why am I afraid? If it involves somebody else, find a way and say, sorry, let's have a conversation. Find the conversation, find the moment, have the conversation with either yourself, your peers, or the individual, even if it's a superior, involved in this anxiety sort of spectrum. If it is your spouse you are afraid of, please go and sit down with her and beg her and say, can we talk about this? Let me understand. Why do I feel panicked coming back home? That kind of a thing. But I will always say that the remedy is in communication. The remedy is in being, on a broad scale, very good friends with people your spouse, your friends, your colleagues, your people in your extended family. Have that comfort and safe zones all around, dotted all around you. And you probably will find that you are less anxious, even if you probably have a smaller bank balance than the next Joe. Honestly, the richer you are, the more prone you are to anxiety and depression. So honestly, let's not be careful how we envy people who are supposedly at a certain level. I hope that's helped, Ejiro. Back to you.
Yeah, that helps a whole lot. Thank you very much. And I think I will take that question now to Dr. Amina. We've looked about how the support system of men and how the environment around them also dictates the conditions in which this is expressed. So I want to ask, looking at mentors, do you think women have a role? We obviously know that in relationships, there is the balance needed from both genders, but how do you think women can better support men? How do you think women can be an influence into in helping men deal with these anxieties and depression?
Okay, thank you for that question. A very interesting question. Engineer Joseph has partly mentioned some of the solutions to that. So by being there, you know, there's the saying that behind every successful man is a woman. But in modern day times, I would say behind every spouse, behind every successful person, there's a spouse. Because sometimes the woman is more successful because there's somebody pushing her from behind. And the man is successful and sometimes both of them are equally successful because they are supporting each other. And I think one of the most important things to support is understanding. You know, understanding who you are and understanding who your partner is, understanding the person's strengths and weaknesses, and knowing how to encourage him to, you know, focus on his strength and how to cover up for his weaknesses, not to extort the weakness, you know. And all this happens with very good communication. That you have to find ways. There's a way you talk to, because of the way men inherently are made of. I'm sorry, I read this in a book and I've read it in many places. Men are generally driven by ego. Not in a bad way, but I mean, that masculinity, I'm the man, everything. So even if you're right, the way you have to address a man in a way that he feels he's the man. So if you want to give him positive information, positive reinforcement or anything, you have to do it in, like when you're talking to people, you talk to them in the language they understand. I speak Hausa. I know Ejiro doesn't speak Hausa, and I'm talking to him in Hausa. Of course, he doesn't know what I'm saying, so he's not going to relate, and he's not going to do what I'm asking him to do. So, but if I speak to him in the way he understands, the way he's most likely going to be more open to taking whatever it is I'm saying. So that's very important, you know, push. Like I always marvel at our women, you know, mothers in the past. I grew up in Lagos. In that Lagos, when you go to like Alabama, not Alabama Market, or Kiari, or, you know, where you see these very strong women with shops in there. Some of them have houses in Ikoyi, VI, but they live, their husbands are civil servants, and they live in maybe Face You or Face Me house. They will educate their children, send their children abroad without making the man feel like he's not a man. They will have women are smart too. They will come and tell him, they borrowed body or they did adashi and everything. Don't worry, we'll pay. The boy will go to school, or the girl will go to school. You know, and at the end of the day, you have a very educated family, and without, you know, rubbing it in his face and making him feel, you know, you have to understand the way people are, you know, to relate and get, because the overall goal is to have a good family, to have good children, to have a very good relationship, grow old together. If it's in organizations or in, you know, to achieve the goal of the organization, you know, so you have to talk in a way that, you know, makes people listen to you and, not agree with you all the time, but at least they are open to what you're saying. Because once somebody has an open mind, it's most likely that the person will do what you actually, and that's why sometimes they say women control some men. It's because they found the mumu button, and I'm not saying mumu in the bad sense, but they found that button that when they press, because she has earned his trust, that whatever she says, he just agrees, because over time, she has proven herself. Just like Engineer Joseph said, for him to listen to the wife, because over time she has proven herself that she can be trusted. So that building trust, good communication and all, I think is what leads to women helping the men. And likewise, the men also understanding women, understanding that we are different. The way you talk to a man is different from the way you talk to a woman. A lot of times men miss it because they want to earn points with women, and they end up doing the wrong thing. We're very simple creatures, but men just feel that we are difficult. They don't understand women. It's because they don't sit to understand how we want things. I advise people, read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and you'll see the ways the way men are made. They are hunters by nature, while women are talkers by nature. We collaborate, we empathize, we sit together. This happened, this happened. We're not really looking for solutions all the time. We just want to be listened to. But men always make this, once you come, see, this thing happen, he'll start uttering solutions. I didn't come to you for solution. I just want you to listen to me. Tell me, yeah, sorry, and everything. And then I'll trust you and I'll open up and I'll be telling you more things as we go along. When I need a solution, I'll ask you, how do you think I can do this? But when I'm coming to tell you, this happened, at what, this is, then you start rattling advice. That's not what I came for. And I think that is where a lot of relationships get it wrong. Men, because the first thing when you're talking to, okay, I must provide solution. But for a woman, she just wants to be listened to. She already knows what she wants to do. So understanding those differences, I think, and encouraging and empowering ourselves, I think, is what drives it. I hope I didn't go too off track.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amina. Indeed, you have really given us a whole lot of insight on how women play a critical role in also balancing the men. So now we'll go to a different dimension now, just looking at men supporting men. How do we create healthy support systems, mentoring circles for men to informally mentor others? I think I will take Engineer Joseph, if you can take that.
I think the starting point to every relationship is understanding that you have a need. You can't force a mentor on a mentee, neither can you force a mentee on a mentor. And sometimes these things just happen because someone has expressed a need. Personally, I get mentoring, even from younger people. So when I talk about mentoring and relationship, I actually don't always mean an older person or a more senior person mentoring a younger person, because it depends on what the relationship is all about. So in this case, men mentoring men is important in the sense that if I refer to the book Dr. Amina referenced, the experiences of a man growing up, early career, mid-career, and late career is certainly different from that of a woman. So if you're a young man about to start life, the people you have around you makes a lot of difference. Your father, your uncles, for most people, it's their senior brother. For people who are younger people, right? They learn a lot from their senior brother. Your classmates, your teachers, your religious leaders, your uncles, and extended relationship. But as you now grow older, when some of these other ones are tailing off, you start making new friends. So the question is, out of these friends that you have, do you really have people that you really show your true self? Because you may have people you watch football with, you may have people you play golf with, you may have people that you go to where you people go to, right? But it's just about, it's just about that without really taking it a bit further. So my advocacy will be in every relationship, once you see a need in yourself, you really have to reach out to who has the experience, who has the demeanor, and who has the passion to share to help you grow. It's not always about an older person. You also need to look down, look sideways, and look up. If it's something you have to get from a senior person, reach out to your networks. If it's something you have to get from a colleague, somebody at the same level, you can get that. If it's something you need to learn from someone who is a bit younger, either professionally or age-wise, but it's really, really encouraged because no man knows it all. Our experience vary, our situations vary, and being able to get, as much information as we can, as much context as we can is quite key. And you can't do that until you are vulnerable. You can't do that until you are humble to recognize that you have a need. It's not every need that you can get from YouTube or TikTok, because actually these days people think we can get mentorship from TikTok 30-second videos, right? Yes, you can if you're able to hook up to the right ones, but also you can also get, there are more wrong ones and right ones on social media. So that is why that personal contact where you can talk, where you can have the feedback, where you can test ideas, where you can, have that human relationship. Earlier today, we talked about shoulders to crying, right? So sometimes you can cry to your guys. If you have problem at home, probably no one to talk to, right? So if you don't have the courage to own up to madam, especially when you have done something wrong, then you probably have to talk to someone who can guide you on how to manage that diplomatic incident. So I think that will be my guidance, my suggestion, Ejiro. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was really very apt. Really very apt.
Ejiro,
Yeah, so-
please, can I give him a tip? So one of my friends, when he annoys his wife, she loves suya. So when he goes out, when he comes back, he will pull the curtain. They have a sliding door. He will pull the sliding door, pull the curtain, then he will throw his hand in with the suya first. Before he enters, so by the time she sees the suya, she don't calm down.
Thanks. That's a good tip.
That's a wise man. All right. So Dr. Intia, I would now take the question teeing off from where Oga just ended up. So we've seen that in a man's lifetime, at least 1 in 3 men would experience acute loneliness. 1 in 2 will have a mental disorder, and 1 in 3 would have a substance abuse disorder. Now, we're looking, what are these productive coping skills that you can share from your experience? What are some evidence, some productive skills that can help our men better cope than being victim of these statistics?
So first of all, to say that, so you see how those stats are shifting with each generation. It was much fewer before. It was 1 in 25. I remember when I first got into medical school, and then here we're talking about 1 in 2, 1 in 3, and all of that. Let me tell you, those stats will worsen going forward. Now, the brain is never been as much under assault as it is in this generation, and will become even more so in the generations to come, because everything else is everything is about information and information systems. And frankly, one of the things I'm most scared about is that going forward, I don't know that there will be any commonly held truths anymore. Everybody will almost be defining their own truths. And that's a scary world to live in, because that's where we're headed. But more importantly the point is you must seek meaning for yourself. So one of the first things when we look at everything around mental health crisis and all of that is always that innate pressure and peer pressure. So the first thing to do is try and insulate yourself from peer pressure and then excessive innate pressure. That's one from within you. And so you look at that context and ask yourself, what works? What does good mean to me? We talked about men supporting men previously. Most of us find that our secondary school classmates are probably the ones we are most intimate with still. Probably of all your groups, alumni groups, the secondary school one is probably the toughest one. You were old enough to know what it meant to have a friend, and you were naive and naked enough to be real with the person. By university, you had airs already. You started, younger don't come, you started, and all that. And after that one, working life, people can hardly get to see you. And the older we get, the narrower our circle of friends. So you really have to look for ways that truly can get you to a point where you can be open enough with people to develop true friendship with as you grow older, outside of those you started from. And that's the key thing about it. So Stella is typing weed and alcohol, but very often a lot of these things are around peer pressure, and all of that. So if you are going to have a drink or two, let it be that I genuinely want to have a drink or two, but not because the next man is having a drink or two. If you're going to do it, that meaning for self, for me, is the rudder. And when you have that and you're almost as real as that to yourself, they say the biggest deceiver in the world is yourself. If you allow you deceive yourself, my word, you're off track already. And I find that, so when you come to people, I counsel a lot of young people professionally and otherwise around this subject because it's an epidemic, it's a crisis already, getting worse in this country every day. And you find 90% plus, it's peers. You just are among people who, take a blunt and all of that, and then you're taking things, you're smoking and all of that, and people grow into that. By 2025, 1/3 of our workforce will be Gen Zs. That is something that they've come with. So it's a very real thing all around us. Now, even older men are still involved in things like this. So my point is, do it for self. And then if you get into trouble, seek help early. Know where to go to, know who to talk to, know who to do that, and be open about these things. And that's the point that, I might talk about just being able to connect and be able to have safe places to have those conversations. And, early warning signs should be available. People should be able to pick it up, and you should be open enough for them to tell you, I don't think you're handling this very well. Would you like to do X or Y or talk to X or Y? And the more genuine friends you have, the more people can step in for you early. And like Joe said, maybe play golf. Golf helps. It opens a new avenue for old age friendships. But things like that force you to spend a lot of time with people so you can get to be intimate and vulnerable enough with them to be true friends so that they can be there when they need to be. It's a huge guardrail for us. My last words around this would be that the healthiest people in the world are those that have the highest number of safe spaces around them. Be it your spouse, your family, your kids, your extended family, your friends, your colleagues at work. You must have safe spaces dotted all around you. If you've got enough of that, you can hardly fall through the cracks because somebody will hold you up. Somebody's going to hold you before you slip through the cracks and all that. And literally, almost if they need to almost force you to say, slow down, stop. Let's do this and let's do that. Let's intervene for you. That's a healthy person that has that kind of quality of people around him. Back to you, Ejiro.
Thank you very much, Dr. Intia. Thank you, Dr. Amina. Thank you, Engineer Joe Modi. Indeed, it has been an interesting session so far. A whole lot has been said, and quite a whole lot of nuggets we have received today. So we would then proceed on now to the Q&A to take the questions. So please, the floor would be open. We're going to take about 5 questions if time allows us. So please, men, please raise your hands up to indicate if you have a question, and we'll open the floor for you. Or you could type in the chat box. Do we have a question? Who wants to go first? I don't know if any hands are up. Is there any hands up? Okay, there is a hand up. Please, can you go ahead and speak?
Hello, good evening. Stella here.
Yeah, good evening. Go ahead.
Yes, so my question is for Dr. Intia. For
Hi,
men, Is there anything in their genetic makeup that makes them do what they do, that probably you would tell them to like take drugs for or be aware of, so that maybe they can train it out of themselves? Because we're talking about how to help men, but majority of the crimes are committed by men. Majority of violent cases are committed by men. We are seeing men in positions of authority using that position to pull down others, and then we are seeing also men in those positions using it to lift up others. Is there something, especially for the young ones here, is there something you would tell them, okay, be on the lookout for this, consider this, because as a man you have a proclivity to violence, so you need to do this to ensure that you don't go on that path, but you go on the path of gentleness, kindness, that leads to prosperity for all? Thank you.
Oh wow, I don't know about proclivity to violence, but I so you say what men do, and I think that can typically come from the hitherto machismo definition of manhood, if you like, where for example, you would have someone come, have an argument with, say, your spouse, for example, and you think that the God-given right is that for you to go down there and hit the person or hit back a person. So it's almost something that's placed on us culturally, in this climate, probably across many climes in the world. When you talk, and that's why I say, define for self what your manhood is. I don't think you become any more male because you are more violent or because you express physical violence in any way, shape, or form. I don't think you become any more male by having your voice being the loudest in the room and want to have the last word on everything or decision maker on everything. So when you say is anything we can do, take it out or take it out, all of that, I also am a very big believer in not stereotyping. So each man to his truth. Yes, averagely puts us in that box, but what to do and all of them is for me to continue to engage. And I would pray the wonderful, wonderful partners God has given us to make us realize it's safe and it's okay to express anyway, and therefore get us to be a bit more expressive. When we see people say, "Oh no, this one a man problem," you don't need to share it with my spouse and all that. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. And ultimately, if you're not okay, your spouse is not okay. If whether male or female, whatever way it goes, if you're not okay, those in your tight safe spaces are not okay. Yes, men have a physically or from let's say physiological perspective, testosterone has a slight higher proclivity to physical activity. However, what determines whether you are violent or not is not the hormones. It is actually your mindset. And if you consider that it is a no-no, there are many men who are in this climb who are educated and mature and civilized who would never raise a hand. And the same person in a generation gone by would actually have been raising their hands. So it's always the mindset. It's always your definition of self, your definition of your own manhood and your own truth. So what we can give to them is information, support, and the capacity to say it's okay to just be you, and nobody's going to measure necessarily you against some esoteric standard that probably doesn't apply to you in any way, shape, or form. It's how I see it. It's the engagement that it's all about. Stella, I hope that helps. So it's not a drug or alcohol or weed. It's actually just in the engagement and making sure people are safe enough to be themselves.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Cynthia. Thank you, Stella. Engineer Wonodi Wosu, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, all. Nice celebration, and we are learning from it. I just wanted to ask those questions is directed to Engineer Joseph. Thank you, sir, for your contribution so far. Me, myself, I'm more interested in impact-driven society. I want to ask, why is it that when a man is uplifted to some certain positions in organizations and all that, he forgets easily that a process brought him there? But when he's there, he carries so much merit in his IQ. Even when it comes to a situation where he knows that this person is very good and can deliver on the job, he has seen this person grow, but because he's in charge, he doesn't really factually want this person to grow. I'm saying this because I've seen it seeing many young professionals suffer in one or two industries. They are very good, but they have someone that is just there and say, this guy, I know this guy is good, but even when this guy has that on that particular interview or that contract and all that, because they are the boss, they use their influence and said no, and you find out that they even scatter the mindset of merit and give to someone that is loyal to them. So that issue of loyalty. So in your own perspective, how do you think, why is this continuing? Because it's happening again and again, and it's like a normal thing now in many organizations. I don't want to mention organization's name, but it is cancer that is growing, and many young professionals are suffering from it. That is for Sir Joseph. So our council chair, I just wanted to ask concerning the female gender. How come in the industry, even when they are being pressured to do certain things from the hierarchy, why can't they have a conversation, at least with this person, or try to understand this person that is asking what is not professional and get someone that can engage that person on the particular matter? So it can be resolved, or you can report to management, and this person that is highly placed will be cautioned and disciplined. For the female gender, they hardly talk about it. They talk about it side, but hitting it on the head is always a challenge for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Do you want to take a shot at his question on loyalty versus merit?
Yes, I think I probably want to start about people in power or men in power getting power drunk and forgetting how they got there. Probably that is the discussion we're having today, because people getting power drunk is not just the CEO, the GM, or the VP. Many of us here are power drunk in our homes, and that is actually where it starts from. And being able to understand that wherever you are is a privilege, and you discharge that your duty with a sense of humility is what is important. Whether it's at home, whether it's in SPE, because if I ask by a voice vote or raising of hand, I'm sure a couple of you here would have known a past section chair, a past committee chair who was power drunk and was probably acting to be more powerful than the SPE International president. That is the key of, or the crux of what we're discussing today. How can we lead with human face? How can we lead with humility? I wouldn't see it as a male thing. It's actually a human defect. That sometimes when a little power is given to us, we tend to misuse it. Look at the policeman on the way with a rifle. Because he has a gun, he misuses authority. Look at the Agoro collecting tax for himself or probably for his political godfathers. Because he has a local government badge, he misuses it. So in general terms, it's a human defect that all of us need to work towards to ensure we don't get corrupt when we get to a position of power, to ensure we don't forget how we got there. I think there's a saying, I've forgotten the writer, probably Shakespeare, that says that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that is the human defect. On the issue of favoritism, I think it depends on how you look at it. Because every leader wants a team that can deliver. And if you also step back to understand that in the industry, everybody is the cream of his, of her, or her study group or discipline in the university. So sometimes we sit back and look down on our colleagues, feeling that we are better than them, right? But the fact is that everybody employed by most of our organization have strengths, have weaknesses that you as an individual at the same level may not actually see. That is on one side. That doesn't mean that there is no favoritism, that people don't do it. But the fact remains that a leader who is focused on delivering the business objective that he was selected to deliver will be going out for the best, will be going out for the most qualified, and not necessarily for the one that comes from his village, the one that attends his church, or the one that belongs to the same, or the one that supports the same football club, or the one that I like the same type of whiskey. That is not what leadership is about. It's about providing a fair playing ground for everyone to compete. Of course, being mindful of the necessity to have a diverse workplace. I think sometimes that is when it looks as if the leader is showing some favoritism. The fact is, most men feel they're better than a woman. And when a lady is selected by a position, the guy feels, oh, I can carry the rig on my head. I should have been the leader. I should have been selected as a team lead. But most of the time, you are just looking at one aspect of leadership that supported that decision making. So in summary, yes, it does happen, but a leader who has a human face should select the best people for the job, and also taking into consideration the need to have a diverse workplace so that you can have a fair representation, so that you can have all the voices in the room to enable you make the best decision for your organization, and also to enable you to deliver the business that the organization has charged you to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ogajo. And thanks everyone for joining. We're right on time now. So that brings us to the end of the panel session today. Please, I want to really express my heartfelt appreciation to Oga Joseph Modi. Thank you very much for being here. Your presence is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Dr. Intia. Thank you very much for spending time with us. And thank you for the kind words. Your presence is greatly, greatly appreciated. And also for our host, Dr. Amina, thank you for joining us. We really enjoyed your presence, and we've really learned quite a whole lot on empathy and collaboration from your kind words. So thank you all. I will hand over at this point now to Judith to continue the rest of the program. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Ejiro. Thank you, Dr. Ntia, Dr. Amina, and Engineer Joseph. Excellent session and well moderated. So we'll go over to the next item we have on the agenda. That would be the games. We promised that would have a game planned, and I would hand over to Jethro to run that. Jethro, when you're ready, please. Jethro, kindly confirm you can hear me.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Kindly confirm you can hear me, please.
Yes, I can hear you. I believe others can too, please. Go
Yes,
ahead.
so good everyone, and happy International Men's Day to all our men here. So I will be attempting to share my screen. Just a minute, please. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen, please.
Okay, so we'll be doing a very short game, and we would love us to scan the code. And by the way, there are prizes to be won. We have some exciting prizes for the first, second, and third place winners. Okay, we have King Fabito has joined already. Scan the code. Oh, welcome Lee. Or you could use the game pin. Go to www.kahoot.it and put in the game pin. Oh, we have 4 people already. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Wow, what an interesting name, Lala. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. We have 36 participants already, so we are expecting at least 30 participants to join this game. Let's keep it coming.
Okay, some of us are not playing because we feel that we are in the executive. So if I win, it's not fair.
We are celebrating all the men, so I think I think I am not wrong if I say that the executives are at liberty to be part of this game.
Okay, thank you.
You're not wrong at all. Everyone can join, please. Thank you.
We have 8 out of 36. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. So by the way, one
of us will join.
Huh?
If the prize is a car, more people will join.
The prize might be more than a car.
Sorry,
Okay,
please. Sorry, please. If without drawing us back, good evening, everyone. I've been very, very busy. I want to join the game. Can you go back and let me know how to join the game, please?
Just scan the QR code. Let me expand it. Just scan the QR code or use the game pin. Visit www.kahoot.it and then you can put the game pin.
Okay, just hold on. Let me scan the barcode.
Wow, somebody's retail.
This kind of a thing, you have to, I'm using my phone, so if I don't have another phone, how will I scan it?
You can use the Kahoot, www.kahoot.it and then put in the game pin. The game pin 7414453.
Okay.
7414453. So let's see how many of us we are paying attention to when this panelists they are speaking, because there are some key aspects of the panel section that are in the game. So I think if we hit 20, we should be able to start.
I think we should go ahead. Time is running out on us. So just start.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
All right. And we start. Question 1. Who is your male role model? Well, question 1 does not necessarily have a very correct answer. All the answers are correct, and that's a bonus. Let's go to question 2. Okay, we have Mr. Lee leading, right? And on to question 2. What makes a positive role model? And the answer is kindness and respect. Let's say our leaderboard. Okay, Lee is still leading. And we go on to question 3. True or false, men should avoid discussing feelings. And the time is up. The answer is false. We have an answer. The answer is false. 9 people. Let's go. Our leaderboard. Okay, Lee is still leading. Okay. Question 4. How can men prioritize health? Ignoring symptoms, staying silent, avoiding doctors, seeking help. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Seeking help. And who is leading? Wow, Lee is still leading. Question 5. True or false, role models can support gender equality? The answers are coming. Answers are coming. And time up. True. Just one person went for false. And who is leading? Lee is still leading. Lala has come second. Let's see. Question 6. Which quality helps build healthy relationships? This is one of the points that I think Engineer Joseph mentioned. And the answer is trust. Trust helps build healthy relationships. Lee is still leading. Wow. Question 7. True or false, work-life balance is easy for everyone? And the answer is false. It's not easy. And who is leading? Lee is still leading. Oh, Lala has dropped. All right, on to the next. Question 8. What pressures affect men's work-life balance? I think Dr. Intia talked about this while he was speaking. And the answer is societal expectations. Let's see who is still leading. Wow, Lee has dropped. Babe, Stel, Lala, and Nene. Question 9. True or false, stereotypes help men express themselves? And the answer is false. Let's see our leaderboard. Okay, Lee is coming up. Lee is coming up. Question 10. Who can challenge traditional masculinity? Only leaders, only women, only celebrities, every man. And the answer is every man. Lee is coming up. Can Lee win this? Let's see. Question 11. contributions often go unrecognized. True or false? And the answer is true. Well, unfortunately, majority went for the wrong answer. And who is leading? Lala has taken the lead. Let's see. Question 12. What inspires men to give back? Could it be fame? Could it be money? What could it be? And the answer is role models. Role models. Let's see who is leading. Lala is still leading, and NG Con has come to take the second position. Let's see. Can they maintain this? Question 13. Healthy relationships require effort. True or false? Wow, everybody got this. True. Healthy relationship indeed requires effort. Lala is still leading. Question 14. How can men model healthy boundaries? Joseph talked about this. One of his key points. I think even our council chair talked about it, communicating clearly. And let's see who is leading. Lala is still leading. Wow. I wonder who this Lala is. Next question. Men should always be strong. True or false? Men can show weakness. Men can cry. They are allowed to cry. Let's see who is still leading. Lala is still leading. Wow. And Lala is still leading. Please confirm you can see my screen.
Yes,
We
please.
Yeah, we
can,
can.
but not sure on
Okay.
our last question did not reflect, said connection lost.
Okay, we'll see. We still have the winner. Lala is still leading. All right, this is true or false. Men should hide their emotions. Should men hide their emotions? Should they release it? Should they reveal it? And everyone got it. And who is leading? Lala is still leading. Wow. And our final question, who can inspire community contribution? Wow, every individual. Now let's see. Nene, third position. NG Con. And who is our winner? Lala. Let's get for Lala. Please, we encourage our winners to send in their details so that they can get their prize. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that excellent game. And we appreciate all the winners and all the participants the good thing is that we got the message and we're able to get something out from the panel session. Thank you for participating and for winning. So we go right to taking, please bring up the slides if you don't mind, because we are slightly over time and we don't get booted out of the meeting. We need to do membership drive now, then take the closing remarks from the chair of the D&I committee. Or do you want to take the pictures first? Okay. Okay, so let's take the photographs, then we would take the membership drive and the closing remarks.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So let's just turn on video so that we'll take the pictures. Okay, more videos are still coming up. Okay, let's go. So, oh, more are still coming up. Okay, we'll just do with this one. So I will just say SP, then you will say, I will say SP from my end, you will say cleaner energy with a thumbs up, so I'll snap the picture. So SPE, cleaner energy. Thank you.
Cleaner energy.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much for that. So by our program, we'll take the membership drive and followed by the closing remarks from the committee chair, and we'll take the prayer. Okay. When you're ready, Engineer Mene, please.
Hello?
Hello,
Yes,
we can hear
Hello?
you. Yes, please, we can hear you.
Hello? Okay.
Hello.
Good evening,
Yes.
everyone on the call. I can hear you. Good evening, everyone on the call, our speakers and our keynote speakers. Thank you so much. It was a quite very interesting session that we have to learn this evening. So this is part of what SP is all about. SP, not just only career path, also to ensure that you also have a proper balance in also in your family. So we are here at SP. We look forward to see everyone on this call joining our SP Port Harcourt session. So we, the membership team of SPE, we are available at every time. You can give us a shout either via our LinkedIn or get in touch with us through our any of the session officer. We put it through and also enroll you to be part of the members of SP, so that also you can also volunteer and also enjoy more we have in SP. So SP is here today. We look forward to see if anyone here that are not members, please, you are free to join us. You can join SP today through any of our contact persons, or either contact me. I will get in touch with you, then enroll you and also register those to join SP. Also, if you know your membership have expired, also you can also use this privilege and use this medium to renew your membership for every SP team. So please get in touch with us or any of the board members. We enroll you to be a SP member.
Thank you very much, Engineer Mene, and we invite everyone to leverage this opportunity to be members of SP, volunteering and being active. And for those who are already in the society, I want to thank you for what you're doing. And we believe that we are engaged as it were. So we'll hand over to the chairman of the D&I committee for section 103, Engineer Joseph Cookie with NUPRC. So you have the floor, please.
Okay, thank you so much for good evening, everyone. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend my heartfelt appreciation to each of you for joining us today to celebrate International Men's Day. This occasion provides a unique opportunity to acknowledge the positive contribution of men to our families, our workplaces, and our communities. And your presence adds immense value to this celebration. A special thanks to our esteemed panelists, your thought-provoking, inspiring session, your insightful perspective, and have enriched our understanding of the theme for this year. Your words will always resonate with us and will inspire us to more action as we share bold and stronger communities together. To all attendees, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your time in participating, for engagement. Even the quiz was quite enriching. Collective commitment to celebrating our diversity and fostering growth and empowering everyone to be their best. Let us carry forward the lessons we have learned in this interaction from today and continue to be champion positive change. I just want to talk briefly on this year's D&I committee. We have a program for everyone. This is our first outing, the International Men's Day, and we are looking at the International Women's Day coming up. We will also be celebrating it. So we will also be inviting you for that event. We also have other activities we intend to roll out, but these are our first outing, and we just cannot thank you enough. For our first 20 guests, you will receive a token from us. For the quiz winners, please just send your details and you will get an appreciation. Our panelists, our moderator, we cannot thank you enough. We have you in our plans and you will receive a token from us. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening. I hand over to Juliet, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right. We wish you an excellent evening. Thank you, and may God bless you. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.